Hey everybody, welcome to my introverted life. I'm Wendy. This is to be the start of a new little bit I'm going to do on my channel, which is just kind of little ramblings. This one is going to be related to Flosstube and crafting. Many of the others I plan to do aren't necessarily going to be that related to crafts and stuff. Some might be. This one will be. Most of the others probably won't. I just kind of need a platform to vent and just kind of talk about some of the things that goes on in my mind, some of the things I need to analyze and work through. But yeah, I really need a space to go to ramble, really. This one will be about the Weeks Dye Works controversy. I know some of you out there have heard about it. Others may have not. This controversy really kind of hit me a little bit harder than you would have thought originally. When it first happened, I became very, very worried. I do suffer from anxiety, and it really caused a lot of anxiety for me, and it's because I've been on multiple uh, communities. I've been on multiple communities on YouTube that have had these controversies, and it just really divides the community and splits them apart. And it's been really hard for me because I'm not the type of person to choose sides. I really like to come at things, looking at things, from all sides, and flip it around and maybe toss it up in the air and see if it bounces. I just don't believe in picking a side and then just following straight down the line. I can't do it. And I love having friends and knowing people that are on different sides of things, having different viewpoints and stuff like that. I think it makes me a better person to understand and accept and respect all different sides of things. So, like I said, I had seen these things happening in just in several places across YouTube and several YouTube communities. And it's always been so heartbreaking for me because you just get this amazing group of people that suddenly this controversy arises and it just splits up. And by nature, if something grows to a large enough point, there are going to be little subgroups splintering off, and it's to be expected. The thing about it happening naturally is that I can go to one group one day and one group the other day. Whenever you have a major controversy, you're kind of forced to take sides. And that's really difficult because if you don't take sides, then neither side accepts you. And as somebody who's not willing to pick a side for the simple fact that I don't want to limit myself in such a way, it often means that I'm kind of set aside within the community. So when this week's Dye Works controversy came about, my anxiety rose. My anxiety rose so high. I'm just thinking about it. I have felt that we've been lucky. It has not grown to what I thought it was going to, but it's still been a thing. It's still out there, and there's still a lot of people that are really confused about what it is and what exactly is going on. Say you have, well, think of like this is the cross-stitch community. It's just a big old huge ball. It doesn't include just YouTube. I mean, there are people out there that cross-stitch that have never heard of Flosstube. Within that grouping of people that cross stitch. There's like this little group of people that that are on Flosstube, and from there's this little tiny group that are actually involved within this. So I'm actually thankful that it hasn't grown from that little bit, at least not too fast or too quickly. I think that the entire controversy is perhaps something that needs to be addressed in one way or another. For those of you that don't know, Weeks Dye Works is a dyer based in Denver. I'm pretty sure it's Denver. They're a company that employs around 20 people. They produce hand-dyed threads as well as cross-stitch and needlepoint or whatever fabric. They are known for having named some of theirs. Okay, this company was started like 20 years ago, so we got to keep that in mind. Our awareness of certain things just wasn't there 20 years ago. It's it's amazing how far things have come just in my lifetime. And 20 years ago, just it seems like it was generations ago, just because of how much things have expanded in this world because of things like technology and stuff like that. One of their products actually has the name Confederate Gray. Well, actually, it used to have the name Confederate Gray. This alludes to the color of the uniforms that the Confederate Army wore during the Civil War. It, not something people would have thought much of 20 years ago, and to be honest, it's not something some people think much of today either, but there is a group out there that is much more self-aware in wanting to bring about change and equality amongst people. The Confederacy, of course, is known for fighting against, the US as we know it today. For one of their reasons being, of course, their views on slavery and the belief that African Americans, that we call them now, because of them is so much different than us. People with darker skin than me, clearly I, white girl, but that those people weren't equal to us. There we go. That those people, as they would have saw them, I don't even know if they would have saw them as people, to be quite honestly. I don't think that's correct. To be quite honest, I don't think they really saw them as people. Unknown to many people, even Abraham Lincoln wasn't fully there with his belief system. He believed that we shouldn't own slaves and stuff such as that, but he didn't really believe that blacks and whites could live together in any sort of harmony. Whether this was really due to white people being better than black people, I can't really say for sure, but he really did think that perhaps white people shouldn't own black people because white and black people shouldn't be living in the same area together. And I don't think it's because I don't even think it's because he disliked, people with darker skin. He is known for having people around him that were, I think he just thought as a whole that society wouldn't be accepting of it. But by that point in time, people who were slaves were born into this country for several generations. They didn't have a home to go back to. The U.S. was their home. They were Americans. So, by nature, of course, we as humans were going to need to eventually, in which we have come a long way with, but eventually start seeing black people as equal to white people, which, guess what? They are. Because they are not they, and we are not separate. We are all as one. And because of this belief system that we have nowadays, this concept of equality in which your value is no longer based on something as pathetic as skin tone. I am, like I said, white girl extreme. I'd be okay with a little bit more pigmentation in my skin tone. I wouldn't mind. I have two colors in my world. I am either pale ghostly white or lobster red. I'm a little jealous of people that have a little more color in their skin pigment than I do. Not gonna lie. And honestly, that is a little bit where some of this sort of controversy does come in, is because we still really do compartmentalize or create these different little bits, This person is white, and this person is black, and this person is Hispanic, and this person is Asian. As long as that is around, we are going to have this world in which we are fighting against things like racism. But we are fighting it, and we are growing as human beings, and we are getting better at it, and we are hopefully coming to a point that there's no such thing as this type of person and this type of person. Hopefully we're coming to a point where we are all people. And there are some amazing people out there that continue to fight for this. And because Weeks Dye Works had a color called Confederate Gray, this was one of the things that people felt was inappropriate. And some people didn't care. I'm not going to really tell you which side I'm on. Or at least I'm going to try not to. It might be obvious in the end. But hopefully I come at this from both sides so that you can understand, or so that you see both sides, so that you understand, so that you can analyze both sides yourself. One side, good, honorable people fighting for equality and equal rights, said something should not be named that. You are glorifying the name of the Confederacy. You are giving power back to the racism that is out there. The other side has said, what are you talking about? It's just a name. Words only have the power in which you give them. It is just a description. And There's where the two sides like really come from. One side being, let's fight this that we think is inappropriate, and the other side is like standing there still going, not still going, was standing there going, why is this inappropriate? This side said, is it not inappropriate to stitch a patriotic piece on a color that's called Confederate gray? Do you not see how weird that is? Do you not see how how odd that is? How oh, it's like an oxymoron or something. And then there's the sides going, I'm more than happy to stitch a patriotic piece on a color called Confederate gray because I am placing this concept of the U.S. as we know it today, our patriotism as Americans on top of, I'm not blending it in, I'm putting it on top of this color that is called Confederate gray, this color that is just a description of what once was. We fought the Civil War. We won the Civil War. The Union won the Civil War. The Confederacy is no longer here. And when I stitch on top of that piece, it is symbolic of that. And because of this, you got controversy. It's to be expected. Well, those that believed that this color name was inappropriate went to Weeks Dye Works and requested that the name be changed. And for good reason. That was on their belief system. That is in their fight for what they believe. Weeks Dye Works took a little bit of time to respond to this. Now, we don't know why. It could have been they were on the side of, it's just a name, it's just a description. Or it could have been the fact that this happened back in, I think, November, December range. It's still only eight months or so into the pandemic. And if you know anything about poor dyers and stuff like that, there's still times they still have issues getting a hold of fabric and thread and stuff for dyeing because so much of this stuff does come from Asia, from especially China, which is where the pandemic originated. So it could literally have just been a bad timing issue. I don't know which one it was. I have not spoken to them. I have not asked them. It could have been one or the other. But that's the point that I make here, is that we assume one thing, We assume that somebody is not paying attention to us or not giving any thought to what we are presenting to them, when in reality, they just process things in a different way than we do. They have to process things in a different time frame than we do. It's a toss-up. It could be one or the other. Again, I don't know. They did, however, eventually respond to it earlier this year, 2021, agreeing to drop the name Confederate Gray and change it to just Gray, which it wasn't quick enough for some people, so they have still chosen to, or because of it, they have chosen to no longer use Weeks Dye Works. Again, their prerogative. Some people don't use Weeks Dye Works just because they don't like the colors. They don't like the way the thread feels. They don't like the fabric that they use. They don't like the dyeing process that they use. Whatever the case may be, people will make these sorts of decisions for multiple reasons. no matter what. You can't win everybody over. There's also talk that while Weeks Dye Works changed the name, they didn't let the local needlework shops LNSs know. I'm really not in on what they did concerning that. I do know that a name change such as that has a lot more to it than just changing the name and telling people. There are thousands of patterns out there that use this product, and the people that actually know about it, like I said, I showed you, cross-stitch community, YouTube community that knows about the Weeks Dye Works controversy. There's such a tiny amount, such a tiny amount. How, it's not like it's something out there that people are just, oh, excuse my nose itch. It's not something out there that a ton of people know about and understand and have heard and can be like, okay, this is what happened. This is the change that has been made. You now have Weeks Dye Works having changed the name. And how do they let people know? I mean, all these local needlework shops and wholesalers and private purchasers, I can say that word, private buyers, that would be a little bit more easy on the tongue. But, all these people don't know what's going on, and it can create a bit of confusion because suddenly here's all these patterns that call for Confederate gray, but it no longer exists in their catalog. They have to figure out a way to get this information out to multiple people through multiple sources that these things were changed, and perhaps what reason for. It is putting pressure on local needlework shops as well to figure out how to get this information across to their own customers that, yes, you're looking for what is called Confederate gray on this old pattern is just the gray now. It is the exact same thing. They just dropped the name Confederate in front of it. It is a lot of work. It is time consuming. Like I said, they are still dealing with issues that happened with the pandemic. So the timeline for accomplishing this might be a little bit longer than someone might expect. Oh, it should only take, it's probably going to take a lot longer than that, as well as the fact that you just have to figure out what could possibly be done. And part of it would be something like YouTube, which would reach a lot of people at once. But again, it has reached this much of YouTube. And YouTube is still this much of the cross-stitching community. So part of these issues could be arising from just the fact that it takes more time than you might think. So that's a lot of the basics of what happened and what people have been thinking. I'm hoping I haven't been too obvious of which side I am on. I don't want to state that I am on a side. I do want to state that I am happy that this has not been big enough to, or is not blown up to the point that it has created a divide amongst the Flosstube community. That can be really hard on people, and it can be really unfair to people. I'm trying to think if there is anything that I might have missed. I'm looking at some notes over here because I need notes because I can't remember everything. I am not seeing anything at this point that I seem to have missed. But if you do see this, I am more than happy to hear your thoughts and views. I am more than happy to discuss with you. I do think no matter which side you are on, I don't think, I will say that if you come in fires blazing and show no respect for somebody whose opinion is not the same as yours, I will delete your comment. It does not matter which side you are on, because we should be showing respect for each other no matter what. It is okay to look at somebody with a different viewpoint than you and actually think about what they're saying and what they're doing. It is I don't even know how to explain it. It is refreshing when you come across somebody that does that, because it seems so rare. I have unsubscribed from a few channels, not because of what they believe, but because on their channel they show little respect for people who believe opposite of what they do. It hasn't been many, it's probably been a couple. Just because it was too hard. Like every single one of their floss tubes coming out, they would mention it, and just because they might be saying, oh, you do you, this is your choice, they would then state something else in a manner that really made it sound like, you're an idiot if you don't believe what I believe. I don't care which side you're on. When I see somebody do that, it just, oh, no. Just no. No, 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 no. Can't help it. Can't help it. But yeah, if you come across this, have a viewpoint, and are willing to respect somebody else's viewpoint that is different than yours, please feel free to indicate below. Your thoughts and views on it. I have not been able to come across everybody's thoughts and views. I have not seen every argument for or against. I know there's a lot of talk with the time frame in which things were accomplished. That's definitely seems to be something that kind of gets people, and of course the other main one being, was the name really that bad? And like I said, there's definitely arguments for each side. There really is. I mean, there are people out there that really strongly believe words are powerful and intense and emotional. And then there are some people out there that simply believe that words are descriptions, and words will only ever have the power in which you give them. I will say, I see both sides. I did get my degree in creative writing, so I know words can have power, but I also use them. I used to use them when writing, Clearly, they were just descriptive, and when writing, they really literally only had the power in which you gave them. You could write those words so that they had no power whatsoever. I was bullied as a kid, and it took many, many years, but I did eventually hit a point in which I couldn't give words that amount of power anymore. It was literally eating me up. It was literally killing me inside. So I know firsthand that while words can have power, I know the effect they've had on me. I also know I can take that power away from them. And being on both sides, I'd have to say, does help, because I really can see and understand and respect both sides of things. And I have no other platform. I don't have people that I talk to on a regular basis about something such as this. Don't have a lot of stitchy friends in my close knit group of, people or anything like that. So, yeah, so I came on here to give it a try and just kind of, oh, sorry, my neighbors don't know how to shut a door. They have a tendency to slam their door all the time. It startles me. I'm old. I'm old, people. And, my heart is not good anymore. Anywho, I think I'll end this here then. I hope that perhaps this was interesting for you, and maybe when I do a rambling again, you'll come back for the next one. Again, this is this channel, My Introverted Life. I'm Wendy, and hopefully I'll see you back next time. Bye.